Morning. This is just like mini Israel here. The dogs are arguing.
I don't want to talk to him. I want לא רוצה לדבר איתך, תעזוב. סתום את הפה. לא רוצה לדבר.
I love how the dogs really are just like human beings. They have their ways of talking. Some dogs are reactive and always have to talk back, and other dogs ignore. You have such an interesting modes of communication that really reflect human beings. And you have behaviors. Some dogs are just like nudnikim. How do you translate nudnikim? They're like, they constantly come and bother, and they have always something to say, like me. And she's like, אני לא פריירית. I'm not like, I have to say something back. It's really interesting to observe them. And this one is like, it's definitely a politician, this one. And there is the pensioner here. Where is she? איפה שלבי? Shelby? Yeah. The cool is very smart. It really is a hot day because she chose a cool place to sit in. And let there be a lesson in life. So, it's an interesting conversation as I tend to. And sometimes I wonder if I read too many books, maybe. Maybe that's the reason why there's a discrepancy between reality and like what I think should be the reality. It's probably people who read a lot of books and expect life is going to be like that people are going to talk in this perfect language, and that there's actually a logic and purpose in action. לא, פוי. She's eating stuff. די, ממש לא. מעניין מה היא אוכלת. So, in a book, there's logic. That's what we learn anyway. That in drama, for instance, there's always a logic. There's always a reason why a character acts the way they do. But in reality, a lot of absurd. Sometimes things happen for no reason at all. Right, Shonbi? Except I'm not so sure. I don't know, sometimes I think fate brought us together, right? Like the song by Macy Gray. Fate brought us together, right, Shelby? But fate is definitely a man-made construct. So, a lot of thoughts this morning, the end of the week. It's been a very tough week because I was suffering from the weekend settlers' activities next to my home and thinking, why is this happening to me? And then a very important sentence came from somebody who said, there's a reason why this is happening to you. There's a reason why this is happening to you and you're facing these kind of people. And I'm definitely confronted with biases, prejudices, and some prejudices are just true. Sometimes people that don't respect other people don't respect other people. They don't respect them in the settlements. They don't respect them in North Tel Aviv either. They don't realize that not everybody wants to hear their children scream on a Saturday afternoon. And they abuse the fact that there's a synagogue, and they put the kids next to the synagogue to scream and play soccer, because in other places they would be penalized and told not to do it because it's too loud. But instead of telling the kids not to be too loud and controlling them, they just say, oh, they're only children. No, I learned my lesson from an old Swiss man. When my son was 2 years old and he started to throw newspapers, these free papers around, he took a cane and was about to strike him. And I learned to take responsibility for my kid. Whereas in here, a lot of people, they'll just let their kids do whatever they want. I have to say that most religious families do control their kids better than the average. But it just seems that by the time they get to school, the kids already got the message that they don't have to have any self-control, that they can do whatever they want. And by the time they get to school, the teachers suffer from this feeling of entitlement. And that's the worst thing you can do to a dog or a child. And here's where I say to a lot of people, but nobody listens to me, because I don't know why. Because most people are stupid. Maybe that's why they don't listen to me. I don't know. I don't have charisma. I don't have public relations. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know what it is. But there's some very fundamental rule in human behavior and animal behavior. Animals and people need to know there's a certain hierarchy. And if family, the parents decide, the people who pay the bills, who take care of you, they are the ones who are making decisions. And they have a structure. And you cannot do whatever you want at home. I realize that on a very personal level. I don't want to say too much, but when a child doesn't respect their parents, that's it. That's it. They go to school, they don't respect their teacher, and then you find yourself where the teachers have to apologize to a child who's misbehaving. And that's absurd. Same thing. And this child is going to grow up and they're going to become the kind of people that make noise, they honk their horns and scream and become violent because nobody gave them limits. Ever. And they don't have a sense of hierarchy. They feel like they can do whatever they want, whether it's stealing or lying or harming other people. And that comes from a lack of hierarchy. Now, a dog doesn't have a sense that the owner is in control are very lost. They're very anxious. There was the case of this one. Where is she? Who gets to go everywhere. She goes on the beds and the sofas, and she doesn't have a sense of hierarchy. This one has been trained, not by me. It's a different story. Oops. Completely different story, but you see how her behavior changes because she's influenced by her, how can I put badly behaved? She's not so badly behaved, but she doesn't have a sense of hierarchy. And that makes a dog anxious. And I hear of people giving their dogs pills against anxiety. You don't need to give dogs medication. You need to just train them that there is a leader in the pack. And then the anxiety goes away. And the same thing is anxiety in general. When you have a sense that there's nobody in charge, you feel anxiety. That's it. So I'm going to try to be the boss here a little bit. And that was my rant for today. Peace, light, and love. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And to all who know me, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. And be thankful for what you have and work on your issues. Let's keep working on our issues. So today's issue was, looking at human behavior and dog behavior. I guess that's the headline. And notice the dogs are not racist. People are racist. And that's another interesting point. Do you realize that there are not so many black dogs getting adopted? And there's one black dog here. And I'm sure there are many more black dogs that were not adopted. And that's interesting. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to say something very important about Black Lives Matters. I see all these Hollywood stars crying. What was it? Ashton Kutcher today in the morning. I opened my YouTube and he's like, oh, how can people not understand about Black Lives Matters? But you don't understand is that everything is connected. Trees' lives matter and birds' lives matter and everything is connected. And if you don't respect nature, if you don't respect animals, you're not going to respect people and vice versa. I guess, with few exceptions. And if you eat meats that has been slaughtered in a vicious way, if you eat chickens that their beaks were broken off, I'm not taking a photo of you being shot. If you see pictures of how animals are tortured, especially in the US, in all these factories, how pigs are treated, you realize that there's definitely a parallel to how human beings are treated. Except one thing, animals are not racist, I think. I don't think they care what color hair they have or skin or whatever. Animals are a little bit different in that way. But I think the slogan should be all lives matter. And then you include everybody. Because I don't think that racism against black people is unique. I think there's racism towards everybody. The racism towards African Americans is extremely disturbing and profound. But they shouldn't be going around Black Lives Matter because they segregate themselves from other disenfranchised groups. And that is a big problem. On one hand. On the other hand, definitely African Americans should think what to do to protect themselves. Just like the Jews in America founded the Jewish Defense League. I don't understand why African Americans cannot defend themselves in a group of it. Yeah, maybe it's against the law, but why is the Jewish Defense League legal then? Because there are Jews that have decided to have their own private security. And if African Americans also did that, they would be busy protecting themselves. That would be very good for them, I think, for having a sense of control over their lives. They should go into the army and the police force. They should be recruited into the police force. And that's the solution, in my opinion, besides education, which is very clearly the problem as well. So I am for all lives matter. Absolutely. Absolutely all lives matter. You cannot say that an animal's life doesn't matter and then you're going to be nicer to people. You're not going to be nicer to people. I don't know. I really have a hard time believing that you can abuse animals and be a nice person. Yeah, call me crazy, but that's what I think. Oops. I think a person that abuses a cat is going to abuse a human being. Or even if they don't, just the fact that they torture animals is just making them a horrible human being to be around. They're not going to be nice to their kids, not going to be kind to other people. There's going to be something in them. Animals are helpless, and they're the test. So I don't know if that policeman that abused the African American also kicked the dog, but it's all connected because everything is connected. What happens, and especially these days when we have the global village, what happened in the US affects everybody in the world, and everybody's waking up to not accepting racism. I don't know about other people, but I was really brought up always to make a stand. But then I got a mixed message. On the one hand, my mother had this European philosophy of don't stand out, don't appear crazy. On the other hand, she was the first one to complain about everything, writing letters to people, and yeah. So I get a lot of mixed messages from that woman. And I think that's also something, also with dogs. People that give their dogs mixed messages, and that's the end of my broadcast. If you give your kids mixed messages and your dogs mixed messages, you're going to have mixed up people. And I'm definitely a mixed up person in some ways, but I'm awakened to that. And I really try to give my kids clear messages. But they don't always accept what I'm trying to say. And that's a problem too. But kids are a hard test. You know? Listen to them. Bye.